Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom her children aren't mine? Original post. I, 17 female, have 2 younger siblings, 14 female, 13 male. My mother works 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. When she gets off, she goes straight to my grandmother's house or her boyfriend's house and doesn't come home until 10 or 11 p.m. On weekends, she stays out at night. Whenever I ask to go out, which is rare, it's a no. Everyone has to come to my home, but then she complains about me inviting everyone over. I work a part-time summer job. I get paid enough for my needs and to put money aside for my upcoming senior events. When I get paid, I put about 50 to 75% of my money aside and buy whatever I need. I usually have enough to last me till the next time I get paid. My mother and I get paid the same week. She buys food with her first paycheck of the month and I buy food with my second paycheck. My mother buys mostly frozen food, junk food, and canned goods. I, on the other hand, buys fruits and vegetables, sometimes snacks. So, about 3 days ago, my mother bought the food she usually bought and left. I put away everything and continued my night. The next night, I went downstairs to find 90% of the food my mother bought was gone. I complained to my mother and she did nothing. I started to crave teriyaki and shrimp fried rice, so that's exactly what I bought. About 45 minutes later, it came and my siblings were complaining about how hungry they were. I told them to tell their mother, not me. A few minutes later, my mother came into my room screaming at me for not buying my siblings dinner. I told her they were her children, not mine, and I don't have to buy them anything. She told me to remember that and walked out. I shrugged my shoulders and continued to eat. Yesterday, my mother took my siblings and I to the mall. I went on my own as usual and bought some pink Crocs. My sister found me and told me that my mother said that I have to buy her something. I told her I didn't have to buy her anything because she isn't my child. She left and told my mother. My mom called me and just whispered, yelled at me, and hung up. I checked out and went to meet back up with my mom at our usual spot. After about 15 minutes, I called my mom to see where they were. She told me that she left and to find my own way home. I had my best friend take me home. When I got in, no one had said a word to me. Am I the a-hole for saying what I said? Now for the top comments before the update. Not the a-hole. Don't raise your kids. Get out quick. I'm hoping that's what the 50% to 75% of the paycheck she's saving is for. Not the a-hole. Hopefully the mother has zero access to their bank account, etc. Otherwise, she may clear that out to prevent her built-in free babysitter to leave. She should definitely make sure her mom can't take her money she's putting away. I had to buy a lockbox in high school to keep all my savings in for moving out because my mom and stepdad had a habit of taking money from my siblings and I bank accounts whenever they needed extra cash. Yep, my mom was a high school teacher for 35 years. She held money for a number for under 18 students. We jokingly called it the envelope system, but she literally had an envelope with each student's name on it and a written record of their deposits and withdrawals. She kept the envelopes in a drawer in our house. It was a lifesaver for some of those kids because the money would have been stolen from them otherwise. Either because it would have been taken from their rooms or bank accounts would have been raided since they're usually joined with a parent when a kid is under 18. Then, when they were 18, she'd let them know how to open a bank account for themselves. Some of them genuinely didn't know, and when possible made sure it was at a different bank than their parents. Shaking my head, I can't believe some parents are such piece of garbage that they'd steal from their own children. Not the a-hole. Report your mom to CPS for abandoning you at the mall if you think it will help, because your mom is being extremely neglectful. OP should have a leg to stand on for an abandonment case because there's gotta be surveillance all over that joint. Update. Thank you all so much for the feedback. I wanted to clear a couple things up first. 1. This hasn't been going on since I was little. It started about 1 year ago after I lost my older brother. 2. I have a direct deposit, so right when I get paid, I put it into my digital savings account. 3. My nearest family is about 5 to 6 hours away, so besides my best friend, I wouldn't have any other place to go. 4. I apologize for not clearing this up before. The grandmother house she goes to after work is her mother, not my dad's. I really don't consider her families anymore since she did some unspeakable things. I decided not to call CPS because I don't want to split up my siblings. But my paternal aunt and grandmother were already flying in to surprise visit us. They called my mother as soon as they landed. She is afraid of them, so she tried to make the house look as clean and neat as possible. When they came, they completely ignored my mom and went straight to us. When my mom went upstairs, I immediately burst into tears. I took my aunt into my room and told her everything that has better going on for the past year. She quickly got my grandmother. They both berated my mother, calling her unfit, a disappointment, and etc. While my mom was crying in the corner of the living room, my aunt gathered up all of our important documents and put them in her dashboard. My grandmother told my mother we're leaving with them for the week, and after their vacation down here, we're permanently staying with them. My grandmother owned a house not too far from where I live that I was not aware of. If I knew, I most definitely would have told her. I'll keep you all posted. Thank you so much. Your older brother was probably in your shoes before you lost him. It's difficult to see things from other people's perspective till you're in the same situation. I was thinking this. It kind of makes me feel sad because probably all his efforts wasn't seen. At least Opie is going to have things a little less complicated now. I really hope her family helps them. Glad your aunt was smart and gathered all of your important documents. Just out of curiosity, was your mom always like this, or did she become like this after your older brother passed away? Sorry for your loss, by the way. Obviously, you don't have to answer. My mom apparently changed a lot after we lost my oldest sibling, but I was a baby, so I'm going on the words of my sisters. It took my mom years to get out of that depression/anger funk. I'm just glad you have your aunt and grandmother to step up. And it's 100% understandable why you didn't call CPS because you knew they were coming for a visit. I hope everything works out for you and your siblings, Opie. I was wondering the same because I was 17 when my older brother died and it made my mother go crazy. She ran off with the man she had just met, got married in a month of knowing the person, and stopped talking to everyone else in the family. It was hard, and I had to move in with my older sister who already had her own kids to take care of. I didn't hear from her until COVID hit. I was around 21 because she was in the hospital clinging to life. She said it wasn't until she was laying in that bed fighting for her life that she realized that she let death cause such a rift that her other kids wouldn't have known until after if she were to die. I just hope Opie knows they are not alone and that life will get easier, especially now that they have a more stable place to live. Am I the a-hole for cutting my portion sizes in half at the dinner table after being served heaping portions by my mom? Growing up, my family and I were all fat. They never taught me about good nutrition, portion sizes, and the only exercise I got was gym class. So, of course I was used to all this, right? Especially since a lot of my friends were the same. When I went to college, I was exposed to a lot of new things, and I learned quickly that my family's habits weren't healthy. For years, they always said the weight was genetic. When I'd go to lunch with my friend group at the dining hall, I started noticing that my portion sizes were huge against theirs. I cut down my portions, and I joined them doing yoga and stuff. Naturally, I ended up losing some weight, like size 22 to tight size 12. I really like the way I look. You can see my collarbones. But I ended up having to go back home during summer break, and I've been surprised at just how different I feel from my family. When we would order pizzas 2 years ago, we'd basically each get our own, and it would be gone that night. We had pizza nights when I got home, and I ate 2 slices, and that was it. Last week, my mom made her special lasagna. I made a side salad to go with it. She always plates the meals and then sets the big dish in the middle so we can have more. Well, the piece she gave me was way too big. So, I cut it in half and served myself more salad. My sister immediately got on my case about how rude that was to mom because she worked hard on the lasagna. I said that I couldn't eat that much food in one sitting, and she scoffed and said that didn't used to be a problem. I said yes, but if you can't tell, things have changed a little. She got in my face and said that I brought my college BS home with me, and I should have left it at the door and ate like a normal person. I told her that I was eating like a normal person, that everyone I knew at school eats like this, and that we're the abnormality. That is not normal to be so stuffed at the table you're in pain. My brother chimed in, saying that I just gained the weight back, so stop pretending I'm better than they are. But I don't think I am at all. I'm no better than anyone. But I also don't think I'm wrong for sticking to smaller portions instead of being stuffed all the time. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You do you. You can tell your mom that the food is delicious without eating 3 servings. And you can tell your brother and sister to pound sand. Nothing like a little sibling projection, eh? That's what happened when they said Opie thought she was better than them. If in their head, eating less makes them assume someone thinks they are better than them, it kind of shows how they see themselves. They are extremely jealous and are trying to force Opie back into the fat fold. They don't like it that she's lost weight because it shows that it's not genetics, and they are a bunch of glutens who want to keep you down with them. How dare you change for the better? You are supposed to still be exactly like them, and brother blames it on college. Extra jealous? Rather than the fact that your family lies about being fat and want you to stay that way to make them feel better. Not the a-hole. Crabs in the bucket. Not the a-hole. Nothing wrong with healthier eating habits. Trying to shame a sibling into something that's unhealthy? That's the true transgression here. My stepdad does this. If I pass on a piece of cake or take a smaller portion, I get the, "What are you, on a diet?" As if my eating choices at 36 years old makes a difference to him. The best is when it's the same people who used to fat shame you. My family's all around average size. I was the heaviest. Developed an eating disorder from all the comments and dropped a little under half my body weight. So now I'm extremely small. Still get comments. You just can't win sometimes. Lol. But something I've learned, especially from having such an up and down relationship with food and following particular diets over the years, vegan, paleo, etc., is some people really take offense because they think you're judging their habits by making your own decisions about yours. I always tell people I don't give a damn what anyone else eats, and that's how it really should be. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for teaching my biological daughter my native language but not my stepkids? My partner and I got married about 2 years ago, and the same year we found out we were having a baby. As we're both over 40, she was very welcome as my partner has 3 children from a previous marriage. The issue comes now. My daughter is really learning to speak, and I speak to her only in my native language. I moved to our current country, where my partner and stepkids are native speakers / born here, and so I speak both my home language and theirs fluently. But I want my daughter to be able to speak to her family who only speak my native language when we go back to my home country. I also want to keep that part of her heritage alive since she won't be as connected to it as the other half growing up here. My stepkids, 11, 8, and 4, who are obviously feeling threatened by the new baby and her place in their life, have begun to have a problem with this. My partner is also sensitive to it and the distress of the other children. They feel like I should also be teaching them my native language and not have something special with just my biological daughter. I disagree. My reasons are this. I'm not teaching my daughter the language. She's acquiring it. It's a different mechanism for learning a language. We don't sit down and have lessons. She just learns as I speak to her throughout the day and do the occasional baby flashcards. I don't think I have the skill to teach a language. I'm not great at teaching anyway, and I'd have to do some learning myself. I'm a parent to 4 kids now. In between homework, after-school clubs, and the other lessons the children have, I just don't know when we would have the time. This on top of my own work, and the fact that the little one of course requires more attention. And this is maybe where I'm the a-hole. I think the other kids will have to eventually learn that some things will be special between me and my biological daughter. They have 3 parents, when she just has my partner and me, and her connection to my family back home will always be stronger. And I think having just some time with me alone is fine as well. I offered to find a class for the children to take to learn the language and help them with their homework, and talk to them at home, but they refused. They feel like it's unfair that I'm unwilling to share this part of myself with them. / why don't I care if they can speak to my family? / why didn't I teach them or find a class before the baby was born? But I honestly just didn't think they were interested. My native language is not nearly as useful as theirs. They would basically only be using it to communicate with me and my family. It's become a real issue in my house because I refuse to stop speaking to my daughter this way. I'd also refuse to start giving language lessons when a professional could do it instead. My partner hasn't gotten to the point of demanding that I stop speaking to my daughter yet, but there is tension. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I should mention that I do speak to all the children / I'm of course willing to include them in anything we do. They know very basic words and phrases. Hi, how are you? But they want me to sit down and teach them in a more structured way because they want to be able to communicate at age-appropriate levels. This is impossible for them to do if they learn the same as my daughter, because she's still a baby and learns just from me speaking to her without requiring studying and lessons. I speak to them and teach them basic words, especially the 4-year-old, alongside their sister and on their own. But it's frustrating for them because they do not want me to speak to them like they're babies, but cannot understand when I speak normally as I do to my daughter either. They want to move past basic colors and animals and simple sentences, but it's simply not something I can do. Which is why I have suggested formal learning that I help with and reinforce at home. I would be happy for everyone in my household to speak my native language. The language isn't what I considered special. It's the connection to my home. My stepchildren do not have that in the same way that my daughter does, but it does not mean I don't want them to learn or have a connection with that part of me as well. No a-holes here. Learning a language as a baby or as a child is totally different process. The 4-year-old might be able to pick it up by hearing you. The other two will need classes, which she offered. You're not comfortable teaching them, which is understandable. I've seen somewhere that our brain is very able to easily learn new language until the age of 7. The 8-year-old might still be able to learn it without too much difficulties. I recall reading a study of immigrants to the US. Children up to the age of 11 were able to acquire accentless, quotes because everyone has an accent, American English. Older kids could acquire fluent English but with their original accent. However, these children were completely immersed in English all day, every day. I don't see the OP being able to do that at home with the step kids. I guess the OP could try simply stopping speaking English to them, but that might not go down too well.